Rise, please. Who founded EKOBA High School? It was Reverend Yuba, principal of which Boys High School was in for many years. To this Wesleyan Boys High School for 10 and 7 years. The principal rough but faithful friend Elijah Soma to fell. Reverend Yuba founded EKOBA High School. What a proud heritage he has left us so. Reverend Yuba, eat from my farm. And without much ado, I would call on Honorable EKOBA Chief Akinade Odesola. A round of applause, please.
Good morning, all. You are welcome to this our annual retreat, which we normally do every year. Please, it's going to be an interactive lecture, so I would like you to go with me because we don't have much time. This paper that we want to discuss under normal circumstances will take only less than two or 3 hours. But we have to manage to give the lecture within an hour and 30 minutes. While we are going to leave about 5 or 10 minutes for questions. So, please. Like my president said, first I would like to stand on all existing protocol. But first I will acknowledge my president for this wonderful opportunity to deliver this paper. And I thank you, my wonderful audience, my colleagues, that is listening with rapt attention to listen to what this lecture is all about. But one thing I would just like to tell you is that, just as my president just announced, if you look at that topic, the first thing there is innovation investment. And when you are talking about innovation, it's talking about new things. What are those new things that you can imbibe in that your business that will make it work? And then we now say, we're talking about innovative investment. The entrepreneurial opportunities in agriculture. If we ask any one of you what agriculture is, we all know what it is. So, as you follow me through these slides, just listen with your rapt attention. And then please, when you have your question, instead of interrupting, just write it down. And I humbly request that let us put all our phones on silent so that we won't have any break. And then we can take maximum use of our time and use it optimally and get the necessary result we want to get from it. Now, before I start, I know some people will be wondering, why do we have to be having all these slides, these lectures, all these things? I want to tell you that even at 70, some people will start their business and they will still make it. So it just depends on you having the right information and taking the right step on how you can invest your resources, invest your business, and be able to get maximum result from all of these things. And that is what this lecture is all about. If you look at that timetable, you will discover that this first lecture is more of a practical aspect. And if you look at the last lecture we are going to have tomorrow, I am still going to be speaking on sustainable business and corporate governance. These are financial terms that's going to guide you in your business. So please, this is a practical session. We shall all be answering questions from my side before I answer your own questions. So please, be attentive and then be able to write down your own questions as we go about. Next slide. Now, this is our outline. If you look at those outline, there are so many of them, they are just theoretical. There are some that are practicals, and there are some that are take home. They are take home. So you will see all these lists. If I start reading all this, we won't leave here. But these are just what we want to examine under this 1 hour, 30 minutes. And I will take all the time I need. Please, there are some I will say you can read over. Because if I want to deal with all this, 3 hours will not be enough. But many of these tests shall be forwarded to our email so that we can read it over if it is necessary. But then, you should realize that anywhere I say go and read over, it's not that very important. It's just an information which you are supposed to know because we are already talking on this kind of topic. Next slide. So, with all this outline, we discover that we have a lot of things to do. Now, if you look at what I wrote here, we are just talking about a brief introduction of what this course is all about. We are talking about what Africa is to the world. We are talking about what Nigeria is to Africa. Now, if you look at all these, they are just facts and figures about what Africa is all about to the world. All right? Now, if you look at that one, the fourth line, that is the first sentence there. It's saying that most importantly, the African countries have the highest population growth on the planet. You know, at times, population is the one that drives the market. Because if you don't have people that will buy what you are producing, then what are we talking about? If you don't have people that will work for you, what are we talking about? So we are talking about the way Africa is to the world. This is the way you will perceive Africa. In fact, there are some research that said that Africa, if you divide United States into three, that is when you are going to have the content of what Africa is. If you look at that second line, it says if we divide America into two continents, that is when you are going to have Africa, because Africa is the second largest continent in the whole world. Next slide. These are just figures that historically. Then, if you look at this, I'm telling you that, okay, overview of African natural resources. Okay. Now, what do you know about Africa? We won't have time to start asking that question because of time. All right? But then, one thing that I want you to know is that Africa is the world's fastest growing region for foreign direct investment as of today, and it's probably 30% of our remaining mineral resources, because whatever is driving the world powers, all those resources are found in Africa. If it is the uranium, gold, zinc, or whatever mineral resources you can think about, they don't have it. It is found in Africa. So you will discover that Africa has everything. And then, when you are talking about Africa, apart from all the world oil that is being generated, Africa generated 12%. Even as of now, from all the records we are having, Africa is already generating up to 13 to 15% of the world oil reserve. So you will discover that the destination we are talking about is Africa. Powers they want to invest Africa. The only challenge we are going to discuss later is leadership. Next slide. These are just the way Africa is. All right? Now, when we are talking about Africa, if you look at all this, the area I want you to concentrate on in this chart are those ones that is printed in either brown or black. Here. All these ones. These are the people that control the world's largest reservoir of oil. I'm talking about like Gabon. I'm talking about Angola. Talking about Cameroon, Libya, Algeria. And all these ones, they are the ones that have the largest deposits of oil that you have seen, crude oil. But we all know that from research, Nigeria oil is the best. When you are talking about the Baba of them oil in all reserve all over the world. That is why Nigeria oil reserve is being sought after. But I would not like to delve into that because we are not talking about oil. We are talking about agriculture. Next slide. So we are still talking about what Africa is, of where lies the wealth of all the world. Because the resources of all the world that is being embedded, that is being invested in their own economy, they are all found in Africa. I think you're on slide 6, I think. Yes. Because you see, we are talking about in Africa, the resources we are talking about is enormous value. And that is why these resources is the one that is driving the economy of most countries. So beneath the crust of African landscape, this is where you get all these resources. Minerals, iron ore, everything you can mention, they are all there in Africa. So now, if you look at all this, if you look at your right side, we are giving you a kind of example or the kind of picture of those countries in Africa that have the majority of these resources. Now, if you look at this, Nigeria is occupying one of the biggest areas. The only thing is that in Nigeria, it's not impacting on the populace or the people of Nigeria. It's impacting on some few. This is not why we are here, so I will not dwell on that. Next slide. So, just next slide. We are still talking about Africa here. Here, we are still talking about the resources about Africa. Please mark you, we have not gone to the real business. All these are just introductions. I want you to know that in this our part of the world, we are so much endowed in such a way that we are not realizing our full potentials. That is why I'm bringing all these facts. So that by the time you leave here, maybe by the time your taking faculty will now come up, you'll be able to now digest that information and look around you and look at what kind of resources or what kind of product or what kind of thing you can do with that environment. Because with all this information in your head that this is what Africa is all about, now you'll be able to now say, okay, what can I do in this area? If you look at the second statement, the region is full of promises and untapped riches from natural resources, that is, mineral and agricultural base to vast amount of people capital. What do I mean? What I'm trying to say is that go outside there, plant anything in the land, plant corn without even doing anything, don't water it. The natural resources we have, some rain or water that is thrown about, pour on it, the corn will flow. So now what is now going to happen when you intentionally now say, I want to focus on farming? I know what is on your mind is that you'll be asking, why is this man laying emphasis on agriculture? By the time you get to that level, you will have that question and I will answer it. But for now, you will discover that everything I am saying about is under that second line. We are so much endowed. And that is why even our mineral resources is being harvested by some people that we cannot say we want to control. But that is not what we are here. Please talk about next slide. Now, we are now getting to the kufris of the matter. If you look at, I said opportunities in green and blue economy of Africa. Please, as we are sitting down here, who can at least give me an idea what we are talking about when we say blue economy or green economy? Yes. Thank you. He has been able to give us a simple term of where we are going. Or like, why they want to say something? I can see that you adjusted yourself and you want to say something. Blue economy in real sense, all right, is what I will say is guided by environmental principle. What do I mean by environmental principle? Is that it's going to diffuse the use of emission of smoke. That's why you see in modern countries they allow you to plant green things. These green things are the one that is going to at least configure the atmosphere in such a way that all these emissions and whatever we think we are planting that is a waste, that is going to bring it to a normal level that will not be harmful to us. That is why everybody is being encouraged to plant something. Okay, that is why everybody is being encouraged to plant something, so that where there is an environment where there is low carbon, resource efficient, and socially inclusive of all our actions, this is what we are regarding as a green economy. Now, the whole ecosystem of the sea is what we are now regarding as the blue economy, because everything that is going to reinvigorate every activity of the sea, where you dust your waste and every other thing, and at the end of the day, the whole system, whatever is in that sea to be harmful to us, is what we call blue economy. Now, with all these information, now you will discover that the first statement there said agriculture for centuries, and you all know it. Even from the time of our forefathers, when they have 4 wives, 5 wives, every one of us not say that he has never experienced kind of where what is sustaining them is agriculture. And this is what that statement is saying, that for nations, this agriculture has been able to pull some of them out of poverty. And that is why you will realize that this first statement is one of the challenges of Nigeria. As at the time Nigeria was still dependent on cocoa, granite, cashew, all these things, we don't have this challenge. But since the diversion of everything, when Nigeria has become an import economy, we don't produce any. That is when we start having that challenge. So we discover now that the paradigm change of every activity of business now is inside agriculture. Every paradigm change, because even you yourself, by the time we get further, you will discover what I'm saying, that business has changed. AI and computer, ICT, they've taken over everything. But the only thing that the machine or computer cannot do for you, they cannot till the land. Computer cannot plant. Computer doesn't have feed where we bring out any fruits for you to eat. That one is still going to be done by humans. The only thing is that impact of knowledge through computer will allow you to have more produce. That is just the difference. So, and from this statement you have seen here, agriculture is still responsible for over 65% of employment of people in any serious nation. It is. Even as we are speaking now, it's still over. Remove the insecurity challenges we are having all over Nigeria. If you go to all those villages, agriculture is still the path and the only way to the future. So, and like that statement says, it's likely to drive Africa economy growth for years to come. For years. In fact, if not for, in fact, any country to a higher level like agriculture. So, like I said, if you get to read all of these things, you will get to know more information. Next slide. Now, like I said earlier, agriculture is the backbone of Africa's social and economic development. These are all the explanations I have been giving so far. And it is no secret that, yes, agricultural sector is the pillar of almost all economies in the world. This morning, my doctor, where are you? I want to ask you a question. That in America today, what kind of approach does government give to agriculture? We'll talk about that topic. That those who are farmers, who owns plantations, and they are involved in planting and growing things to the economy. Please, I need somebody to be giving people.
Thank you, my emeritus. Agriculture is indeed the backbone of any economy. No nation can become great if it cannot feed itself. America is the greatest nation on earth as it is. And to maintain that, to get to that level, they provide huge subsidy to the agricultural sector. China is doing the same thing, by the way.
My president, before you sit down, I'm sorry I had to keep you waiting. Please, before you sit down, there is another thing I want you to help us tell this our audience. In America today, how will you rate the number of people or the volume of youth that is being employed in the farmland, maybe plantations, things like that? At least I know you must have read the newspaper, it must have come to you.
My guess is
My emeritus, what do you think we are going to find? Vast land, untapped, unused, And they are laying fallow. Because they say development is not there, life is not there, all these things are not there. If I ask my doctor another question, he will tell you that those in plantation too, that is how their life is. But if they want to enjoy, they come to the town. You won't even know that they are farmers. So these are the things we are talking about. Next slide. So if you look at this, we are talking about blue economy. For those who will be interested in fishing, fisheries and every other thing, these are the kind of the rivers that we have in Africa and their length and their statistics and how they relate in Africa. Next slide. Now, we are already getting to where we are here. This is tale of Africa and agriculture. Now, this tales is telling of how Africa has been able to survive in practicing agriculture. If you look at that second line, they say it accounts for 65% of the continent's employment, just like we said, and 75% of its domestic trade. Because we have the population and the production of what we get from agriculture is being sold inside Africa. And that is why that figure is like that. And this figure is as at 2021-22. I am very sure by 2023-24, it will have increased more than that. It would have increased. So we have said all these things. It's likely to drive Africa not for growth of years to come. But wait. Before we go to this next slide, look at that fourth line. That is flag. And that is where I want all of us to really hold it. He said, smallholder farmers are the backbone of that effort. What do I mean? Here I'm talking about each and every one of you here. If you decide to farm, if you decide to go to the field, you will be the backbone of that effort, because your small effort, there is no way you can farm and finish whatever you are producing. See, it's a small effort. It takes your small time. Sometimes you might go to work at the end of the evening, instead of just going about or sitting at home, just find a place where you can get land and then start something. It might be corn, it might be anything. So that small farmers are the backbone of that effort. That is making that assessment of 65% of employment and 75% of the trade, domestic trade. So if people like us, maybe half of us here join them now, those one will now make that one to increase. And then, lastly, new evolving markets hold the promise of greater profits for smallholder farmers. What do I mean by this? That there are some emerging markets. They need things to be sold there in markets. But if there are no produce to sell, there is nothing anybody can do. Such market will either survive or close up. But the more people are now farming, and the more they have excess product they have produced to sell, then you will discover that the small or new new markets will now evolve and they will survive. Next slide. This is the tale of Africa still continuing. You can always read through this, all right? Because feeding is done like that. Because you see, as cities are growing, feeding, you will need to feed. You will need to increase what people are eating. And you will need to do things in such a way that, yes, all right, everything that they are being produced at the farm, people are consuming them. Now, urban consumer will also increase the demand for processed agriculture. We all know this one. You all know this one. That, yes, those of us in the city, we are the one now demanding for food, agricultural produce, because things are now more expensive. Even I'm surprised there are some people now, they leave their comfort of their home. They travel to as far back as Osun State, all these small villages. The last time I was watching the TV, there is a market in Ife that Oni of Ife said, look, this atta must not be so more than this amount. So it has now made it more difficult for farmers there to bring more produce. Now, people from Lagos are now going there to buy at cheaper price. Understand? People take that over. If I see anybody now, are you going to order this place? If you say yes, please, I will send you money. Help me branch there and buy this produce. But one thing is, if those things were not produced there, what will you buy? So now the onus is now on each and every one of us as we are here that, okay, if it is like that, I know the challenge everybody will say that we have is that we don't have land. But there are some people who have that land, and they are willing to even borrow you and say, come and farm. Take the produce. I don't want this land to be found, or somebody will snatch it from me. So let us continue to have that innovation or our innovative mind in this agribusiness or whatever. Now, list all these ones we can all read, but I've already pointed out to you the importance of most of these things. Next slide. The role of this industry is still coming, is still continuing. So, but the one thing I want you to know in this place, see, developing competitive industries is crucial for creating employment and income opportunities. I've told this one before. But the last one I want you to look at is this one. Agro-industries have the potential to provide employment for rural populations, not only in farming. Not only in farming. Because you see, when you produce, and then from your products, from that product that you have done, there are value-added chain. Value chain that you are putting there will bring more people to that place. And that is where our government is getting it wrong. If you increase the benefits and the comfort of those people in the village who are farming, some people will leave the city and go and live there because they know that there is job, there is value chain, there is this, there is that there. Why do people travel to America? Because many of these amenities that you find in the villages, in this or is also in the city. You will see some people from their city, from a place like Abuja now. Okay, then let's go to Abuja. From a place like this, our Ibadan here. By the time we go by our road, how many hours? Without us 100 kilometers per hour, we probably spend 1 hour 30 minutes. If I'm not wrong. Or at most, let's say 2 hours. But here, they have put this facility there in such a way that even if you are working there and you are generating income for them, if you want to come to this Lagos from Ibadan, you won't spend more than 25 minutes. There are various transportation systems that you can stay anywhere to work and move fast. But what is happening in Nigeria? So these are one of the issues, and I believe the government will work on that one when we get it right. Next slide. So we can all read this. They are just facts about the roles of agroeconomic development of what I've been explaining all about. So these are just it. Next slide. Roles of agribusiness in Nigeria's economic growth. If you read all this, it is still the same thing in Africa as a whole and in Nigeria. All right? But let's go to the next slide. See, this is what I want you to look at. Government approach to agricultural development. You will discover that the one I put there are the one that President Muhammadu Buhari did. That they will develop agriculture in line with the cardinal objective of the President of Buhari administration, National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. Don't believe this one. This is just drama. They normally use this one to siphon money for budget. They continue to review and review and review. So, but now this year, I should have put it here. Tinubu his own is that he is trying to get everybody involved in agriculture so that we are self-sustainable. That is their own mission. That we are self-sustainable and then everybody is able to farm and be able to get something out of this the government approach. Now, Tinubu's government agricultural policy aims at the attainment of self-sustaining in all the subsectors of agriculture and the structural information necessary for the overall socio-economic development of the country, as well as the improvement of the quality of life of Nigerian people. That is Tinubu's own policy on agriculture. This is Buhari's own. Now, from what I read, you will discover that the one of Tinubu does not have time frame, but is just trying to make sure that they have started something and they will achieve something. And then the most important factor of that is that it is for everybody. This is just a policy statement that some people in the Abuja will just take and say, okay, we plan. We want to go and do workshop on this thing. At the end of the day, they go inside the hall, do the employment, the workshop. Money goes out, about some 2 million, maybe about 500 million has gone. At the end of the day, no results, no innovation. They are not taking steps. Now, I am believing that if they want to do something like this, you are doing the workshop. After that workshop, what is supposed to follow? The practical aspect. Take people to the farm. For example, now, if they were to ask me that what is going to be my own suggestion to this, I will just say, go straight to the universities. The students who are studying agriculture should not be found in Central Bank of Nigeria. Somebody that say is studying agriculture should not be found as a PA to any politician. Any student that is studying agriculture, if a government want to be serious, start giving them 1 acre and put a condition there that you cannot sell it. And you put a monitoring system there that will monitor them. Go and cultivate. Go and start something. By the time you give one that one, if that person starts and is successful, if you ask for another 1 acre, if you ask for another 1 acre, so 1 acre from 1 acre might be 10 acres. But the thing is, this agriculture is not made to be lucrative. People don't know the worth of agriculture. And that is why everybody, every one of us, we are running helter-skelter. So this is the thing. Like I read to you, that is why Tinubu's policy. Another snack there is that I don't know whether they will be able to practice it and fulfill it to the latter. So it also corroborates the national strategy for competitiveness in raw materials. All these ones are just grammar. The National Institute of Media, this agricultural research, raw materials and products, they've never done anything for over 20 years. The person that is the DG of raw material and product development or research or whatever in Abuja, the last time they asked that man that you are the DG of this place. After all these years that you have the DG and all these years of the state of this our agency, what have you been able to develop as a research result? I know doctor is he knows results. When somebody who is a DGO and you call yourself a DG, you say the only thing you have done is that you have developed the scientific production of kilishi. Kilishi that if you go to area 1 in Abuja, you easily pick it from the floor. They will be begging you. And somebody that is a learned person, the director of an agency, collecting over 1 million naira every month. He said they have been able to develop a new production of kilishi. And that is Nigeria for you. And yet, there are competent hands that can manage that agency, discover new products, but they will not give it to them. So that is why I said these are just grammar. Grammar. So, next slide. Now, if you look at this diagram, the importance of agricultural sector to Nigerian development, like I said, is one of the greatest employment of labor. From our assessment, we think it's about 70% because it's a massive employer of labor. The foreign exchange, after oil, that you are mostly dependent on, the next thing is agriculture. And then some people are saying, what is going to happen to Nigeria when our oil dries up? Where are we going back? Agriculture, are we? We will go there. But you see, everybody that has already imbibed agriculture into his system right now, even if there is a challenge in oil sector, you will hardly be moved. Because your own resources is already giving you maximum and optimum profits and resources for you to survive. If you look at the third one, it's economic diversification. What am I talking about? You see, the economy of Nigeria is dwindling. So when you are diversifying, this is an area government should diversify into, so that they will shift people's time from oil, shift people's mind from all those things that is taking our time. And then we go into an agricultural production in such a way that is going to be massive, it's going to be huge, and it's going to benefit Nigeria as a whole. Next slide. Another one is food security. I have already talked about this one, that if 1 or 2 or 3 even imbibe farming in a little scale, there will be food security for all. You will plant, I will plant. You know, in olden days, when there was trade by barter, what do they exchange with? Maybe you have yam, I have oil, we exchange. You have fowl, I have gari, cassava, we exchange. But now, it is because of the advent of money and the chase of money that has removed that. I am not throwing us back. I'm just saying that, okay, assuming that time, you that is having palm oil, I have not planted yam. What will I use in exchange? Nothing. I'll be looking at you and probably die of hunger in the house. You understand? So we must go back to that root and be able to practice agriculture in such a way that will benefit every one of us. And then, this is the one I'm really happy about. It's a raw or good area of raw material production. Everything that we are all using here, they come from agriculture. This iron, they got it from the land, iron ore. If you see any plastic container, a wood table, it's brought from agriculture. If you see all these food we have just eaten, they are just coming from agriculture. So they are raw materials for an input into something else. Without that agriculture producing the raw materials, then most of these countries will fold up. That is why you will see many of these countries of the world, they are fighting over Africa. Nothing is still there. It's because of our resources, agricultural resources. All these our iron, all these our foods, all these our gari. Do you know what is funny? The gari that we have here, that we don't appreciate. If they say gari Jebu now, people say, this one's done by these 4 people. I entered ShopRite one day. If you see how Nigerians are rushing gari made in Japan, gari, which cassava that was taken to Japan, reproduced and sent back to us in the form of gari, and people are rushing and taking the sachet and buying it. What has happened to us? God will help us. I am not going into that because it's a problem for the government. But where area I'm going is that you see, the more we produce. Let me tell you another snag in this agriculture of a thing. Because of this, our poala of foreign exchange, this forest challenge we have. Do you realize that many of these our agricultural produce, they are finding their way outside the country? They will go and sell it there, bring in that hard currency, and become and be making big man here. If they are not be involved in agriculture, where do you think they will get it? They won't be able to get anything. And the thing is, our land is so good that if you plant something today, and you say you want to leave the land to fallow, give me about a week or 2 weeks, all the nutrients, they are back. By the time you plant something there again, it's already germinated. For you to measure what you have produced to what the value you can get from it. Okay, I spent 100,000 naira from my produce. Then by the time I want to go and sell it, you want to evaluate what you are getting from it to measure whether it is commensurate with what you have already got. All these things that you are seeing here, they are resources that are input to agriculture. For example, I will just pick 2 or 3 because of our time. Look at labor. When you want to plant, labor will be involved. Now, the extent of which labor is involved now, you will now try to examine yourself. Am I getting what I want to get from this agricultural produce? Look at maybe market access. Now, what I'm trying to produce now, in what way will I have access to good market to get value for what I produce? That is why I made that example earlier when I said some people now produce things and they taking it to outside the shores to get more money. So outside is transport infrastructure. You all know that Nigeria today, what is disturbing most of agricultural produce? We are talking about maybe if you are doing animal husbandry, number of animals, if it's agriculture, number of crops. So what you have used or input that you have used to produce them, like I explained, money, could be technology, another cost of production, maybe your wealth, your transportation, or your labor, all these things, they are all. And then another way you can do is you measure by the market value of that final output. I've already mentioned that. Another thing is measured by the total factors of production. That is all these factors that you have put into agricultural produce. What are you going to use as a measure of what you have produced to the advantage that you have gotten, to the wealth creation that you have created from this your agricultural produce? This is what agricultural productivity is all about. Next slide. Now, what are those constraints of agriculture in Nigeria? We have been able to enumerate or outline some of them. The first one is low access to agricultural credit. This one is government official that is making this difficult. Many a times government have good program to provide loan, soft loan for agricultural produce. But we discover that government agencies and government officials, we put a situation where you approach agricultural production with scientific research and knowledge to agricultural practice through farmers education. That is, people that want to go into farming, they need to know all the scientific approaches to give them more produce, more results, and thereby create wealth for themselves. And then land tenure system and land degradation. The word degradation means that word, land that has lost value, that is no more in use for one reason or the other, either from continuous use of the land, or maybe even communal fight like this, they can just throw chemical on your land and then it will not be good for anything again. And then another one is poor market access and market efficiency. Most of the challenges farmers have in this country is that, you see, look, when you produce, be conscious of some people out there that they are ready to take advantage of you. They know you do hard work, but the word they will give the product that you are supposed to sell, they will say it's nothing. Something that is worth 1 million, they must say it's 100,000, and thereby discourage your spirit and remove your spirit from doing any other one. Another thing is subsidies and welfare scheme announced by federal and government does not reach farmers. I've already mentioned this earlier. You know, I said it, that they bring some good things to farmers, but don't forget, there are sometimes that government will send subsidies to states. Some state official will reback the subsidies and now go and start selling. So in that situation, how do you want the produce of agriculture to increase? That is why I like Baba Gana Zulu, governor of the Borno State. There is nothing he wants to share, he will go there himself. You will see him on TV. This is what all governors should do. This is what even the president should do. At times when they want to tell them to put it on large screen, sit down somewhere and be watching them. If you cannot go there as president, but the governor will go there and make sure that the farmers get it. He will make sure that all these things, what things subsidized by government, that the people originally made for the policy and the style that everybody should have been using. Then another thing is no information about water management. We all know that in the villages, most of the perennial water shortages and water system they have, even their rivers, they are not very conducive for human consumption. And this is a challenge that many of those farmers are having now. But the good news is that many of them are now cultivating the habit of irrigation. They are bringing themselves together and doing irrigation to get good water to everywhere that they have. Absence of agricultural marketing. You know, many of these people are not educated. But the difference in all of them to us is that we are educated. We know about agricultural marketing. We can market our products. We can market our products. Lack of proper storage facilities. Now, I don't know whether doctor will help us out here. At least he's a farmer. How do you store your own produce? Maybe everything that has been produced. How do you store them? Please, start my.
Thank you, my brother. So, storage is a challenge. Hello? So what I said is storage is a challenge for farmers in Nigeria because of the power problems that we have in Nigeria. And we use freezers to store them. you know, as much as we can. But to be honest with you, we don't really store as much as we should because of the cost involved in storage. You basically have to use your own generator, your own diesel. You know, you add up all this, and then it becomes out of reach for the consumers. You know, so that is another area that the government of the country can help us, we farmers, by making sure that power is available, diesel is easily accessible at a reasonable cost, and then the cost of produce, you know, will not go up as much as it goes up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, my president. I don't know whether there's any border that has practiced farming that can share his experience with us here. Okay. Yes, I wanted to say, because the last time we did meeting in his house, he was into agriculture.
Okay. Thank you very much, colleagues. Standing protocols. Sorry. 2 minutes. My journey into agriculture started in 2006, and I started a poultry business at that time. And that was the first time, no, I think 2007 was when they had bird flu in Lagos. And bird flu ruined or took, in fact, it just perished my poultry. I had about 4,500 laying birds. Now, after that incident, I decided that, because I had a farm at, for those of you that are familiar with Badagry Expressway, there is one Lagos State Farm Settlement at Ojo. Yeah. So that was, so I decided that I was going to have my own standalone farm, which I achieved 7 years ago, and I started again. Now, the challenge of agriculture generally, one, you have men. The farmer does not have much resources to produce his products and then take it, because he has to continue. So he must get rid of his product as fast as possible to be able to recoup his investment and reinvest. Yes. Now that's where the middlemen come in. Just like the speaker has said, the middlemen want to rip the farmer off, because they know that the farmer is in need of his money. So so that's one challenge. Secondly, is that, for example, in my standalone farm, we produce an average of about 75 to 80 crates of egg per day. And initially we tried selling at the poultry, but we noticed that the middlemen will collude the farm workers to rip the farmer off. It's a very big challenge. Yes. So we now had to buy a truck that will be transporting the produce to Lagos. My farm is at Wasini, close to Abeokuta. The transport, of course, by the time you move the goods to Lagos, the price of the goods has increased, because you factor in the price of petrol, price of maintenance of the vehicle and all that, you know. So now, there are certain produce that are also seasonal. For example, eggs. When children are on holidays, there is what you call egg gluts. You have eggs, but the market is not moving. So these are some of the challenges that you find. So right now, for about a year ago, because of the price of feed, I've put a hold on poultry. Now I'm into piggery and I'm doing plantation. I have a plantain plantation, and almost every year we get plantain to the market. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. You see, most of the challenges from that is brief explanation. He has explained. My doctor, yes, my president.
Thank you, my emeritus. It's quite ironical that we have accountant, you know, a chartered accountant into farming, a consultant physician into farming, and then myself, consultant physician into farming. What that says is there's money in agriculture. There is money in agriculture. And Just as a country can never be great if that country cannot feed itself, it can never be a great country. You can never be a great man in Nigeria if you don't have a farm. Maybe I should let you in into a little secret. All the billionaires we have in Nigeria, all of them have farms. All the billionaires that are in Nigeria, they have farms. You know, they may be into animal husbandry, maybe some produce and stuff like that. But they have farms. Not one of them that I know that doesn't have a farm. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that small input. And let's. Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I think I'm really impressed. If a chartered accountant can handle agriculture this way, then we need to rethink. If a doctor, a medical doctor, a consultant physician has farm, it says a lot about ourselves. And if you look at it, we are all here produce of agriculture. The clothes we are putting on, everything we have here is from agriculture. But see, if you keep waiting for government, challenges will keep coming up. Part of the challenge we have is the kind of people we employ. My own experience into agriculture was the first 2-3 years was a very nasty one. You produce, they steal. The people you employ steal your produce. And I think what we need to do, if the private sector handles agriculture, I think we'll be better off than the government. The government will only tell you they will do this, but it's only on paper. Practically, they don't do anything. The farmers are, left with nothing from the government. In the other section of the world, like US and other European countries, government comes in with subsidy. Your produce sell to government. Government will resell to the people in the market. So the farmer enjoys there, but it's a different case here. I think what we need to look into is the marketing side. And I think our handler here, if he can really advise us on a marketing strategy that we could employ to sustain agriculture, it would be a great one.
Please, because of our time,
thank you very much.
Just let us
I don't know if a chartered accountant can handle agriculture this way. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will allow just 2 people to talk, and I will give you 1 minute. We have to round up because we started late, and we don't want to disturb our timetable. Please.
Indomino.
Confidimus.
Well, I would say I'm not a farmer. But I want to address the last my Korean our president that says we have a lot of billionaires in farming, and the question I kept asking myself is that when we don't have silos, definitely there's a problem. Then the question is that the people that are billionaires that are into farming, how would I have expected them to have silos where they will have their storage to be able to have what is called a parallel economy, where when you have excess production, you store it in your silos and begin to sell at a regular price. So I think it is better that even as a farmer, probably the ones that grows grains should also have what is called silos where they will store their products. Also, if you are into like what my Cora said, he also goes into what's it called a banana here. So which I think there should also be a silo to control your production that will come to the market. As you are still doing your marketing and the market has not really, you have your storage, and I think that will be very good if we can get government to assist. If as a person, let me say the government is giving us an advantage, I would prefer to invest in the silos. Buy from the farmers, store it, package, and then resell to the market. Thank you.
Shita, last speaker, please.
Indomino.
Confidimus.
Well, I have 2 things. One is a question, and the other one is to actually commend our doctor and our accountant. This is a very good job, and it's much more enlightening, because last year we had things that had to do with agriculture here, but I didn't follow it up like the way I followed this one up now. And I think I want to really go back into agriculture. Before now, I used to have a small poultry farm at the back of my house, but I was doing for consumption, not for sales, not for production. Yeah, it got to a point that I got large birds that I was even giving out to people. During Ilea Festival, during Christmas, I just give out birds. But now I'm beginning to understand that I can be my own personal director and billionaire by selling those birds instead of just doing charity organization. And I also, yes, because I saw it as a charity, I was just giving out birds. And then another challenge I had then was snakes coming around to pick up birds. Yes, snakes. At times, they might even strike the birds there, they wouldn't be able to eat it. So I had that challenge then. But now I think I'm getting wiser. Then neighbors' dogs also came attacking my birds. All this I'll factor and then see how to progress. Now the question I have is this, and I think this goes to the government. When we talk of constraints, culture, what is the government doing presently to take care of the menace of kidnappers and Boko Harams that attack people that go to their farms? Thank you.
Please, like I said, all our questions, let us write it out. I will give us 5 or 10 minutes, we can answer questions. We are behind schedule. If you look at that timetable, the second paper should have started by 10:30, and this is 11. But I've just asked our chairman of the retreat to at least probably give us a few minutes so that we can have the second paper. Now, Dr. please. So like all these ones, they are some of the challenges or constraints to agricultural, something that we are seeing in Nigeria because of time. Now, the various contexts of agriculture, what does it lead to? You see, in agriculture, what are those attributes that is supposed to be in that agriculture to be a worthwhile venture? The first one is farming that we have been talking about. The other one is knowledge. You must continue to increase your knowledge or how to improve your produce and the challenges you are going to face. And then this last one is commerce. My doctor has already explained to us the kind of challenges when you are trying to. Commerce is all about trading your produce. You can't just produce it there. Like the doctor said, he said when they finish their production, they want everything to go so that they can start planning another one. So when we get to that level, we talk about it. Doctor has already enlightened us. Thank you, doctor. Next slide. This is the value chain of everything that is supposed to be for agriculture. There is development and provision of inputs. This is where you talk about the fertilizer and everything that will make your agricultural produce or whatever you have to go into to really give you good quality of raw materials to the industries that is going to produce. Then you have the supply and quality branches. Then there is transparency in the marketing and trade. And then there is all the retail, whether you want to sell as wholesale or retail. Next slide. So you see, this is actually what I wanted to discuss, but there is no time. We have taken all the time. But I will advise us to go and read this, and then we can all come back and then we start asking questions. What is agripreneurship? See, this agripreneurship that we are talking about is all about managing a business venture. When you look at all these things now, this is an what is agripreneurship? See, an agripreneur is that person with who is an innovative change agent. You know, you have been doing something this way, but you now want to use your innovation to discover opportunities and use land to produce other productive assets. In this area, we are talking about the value chain, the value addition to food production. When we live here, we can go and read many of these things here, and then you get to see who an agripreneur is. And then an agripreneur is a person that manages business venture focusing only on the agricultural sector. When we are talking about this, we are talking about the whole operations of agriculture. Everything that is embedded in agriculture. All right? And you see, Mostly, look at what our doctor said, that most billionaires, they have farm, they have agricultural in their business. Look at this third line. Agripreneurs with successful businesses are what? Are what? Please let us repeat it. They are self-employed. I want that word to sink into our mind. Agripreneurs with successful businesses are self-employed. Most billionaires that is in Nigeria today, what are they? They are self-employed. They are self-agriculture. So just put sheep into agripreneur and then you'll be able to see what we are talking about. Next slide. See, we must talk about this. I know time has spent, but we must talk about this. Agriculture is a risky business. I must tell you for a fact. Don't think it's so easy. It is a risky business. If they search me away from there, I will hold you. See, these are agricultural risks. The first one is production risk. The second one is post-harvest risk. And the third one is market risk. And the other one is ecological risk. See, when we are talking about production risk, what are those ones that are involved with production? There is weather, there is labor, there is knowledge, quality input, and access to credit. We have already discussed this and the challenges that are embedded there. So when you leave this place, please read this. It will give you more insight to what that risk is all about. Then post-harvest risk, not now, please. Post-harvest risk is just storage. We are talking about that. That the risk that is involved, no light, no this and all that, they are still one in there. But you see, from the explanation of the leadership one that I gave to you, you must be persistent, show leadership courage, and be persistent and be able to overcome all this. There are always way out. Then there is market risk. One is the market information, access to market, and price volatility. Access to market includes bad road. Market volatility includes not being able to determine how much you are going to sell in the market. You might be coming with a phrase that I want to sell at 10 naira. By the time you get to the market, you discover that they are selling at 7 naira or 6 naira. So it's your choice. So then the last one. The last one is ecological risk. This one we pray it doesn't happen because it's beyond our control. One is limited land, limited water, and other ecological factors like natural disaster, like the one that happened in Kano and in Borno, where water just came from somewhere. But we all know that that one is not natural. It's human carelessness. When a dam that is built that's supposed to be checking, people have collected money to maintain that dam. It just collapsed. And yet, head is not rolling. Next slide. So this is one I wanted to discuss, but we won't have time to say because it is what we call Porter's value chain. This Porter's value chain is a useful strategic management tool. It works by breaking an organization's activities down into strategically relevant pieces so that you can see a fuller picture of cost drivers, sources of differentiation, and then make changes appropriately. What I mean is that you see, when you adapt this value chain, it's going to give you that chance to be able to recognize, realize the challenges and the problem that your agricultural produce might be encountered with, and you will now see sources of differentiation. Now take a decision to challenge that differentiation so that you will turn negativity into positivity. So by the time we read all these things, there is no time because you see all these things, these colors, they have their indices on this value chain frame network. But if I'm to explain this, it will take 5 or 10 minutes. So let us leave it. We will explain it maybe when we have the chance another time. Please, next slide. These are just the canvas for ICCs of 4 action groups. 4 action groups. These type of action groups are related to your produce. The first one is research to farmers. Then government to farmers. All the relationships government is supposed to do to farmers. You will see federal and state, multiple departments, subsidies and all these things that we are talking about. Which government is supposed to do for farmers. If time we are there, we will have that more inside it to know that, okay, this is what government is not supposed to do and what they are supposed to do. The one on farmer to consumers. You that is the farmer, what are your responsibilities? All these things that you are supposed to make your produce will be better for your consumers or your clients, the people you want to sell to appreciate your goods. These are the things that is expected for you. And then the last one is private to farmer, the private entities, companies. This is where your own should have come in. That if they take the excess from farmers and then they store it, farmer will not be having problem with all these things that is their challenge. So we could have talking about all that one. They are all here, but because of time, let's slide. Now, Here, you are being advised to involve yourself in smart agriculture. What are we talking about smart agriculture is, the whole essence of this is to get involved, get ICT, new trends in technology, all those things to help you in improving your job as an agripreneur. And the most important thing I want you to look at this last one. The latest and most promising one is cloud computing. If you see that word now, everybody is out saying, what is cloud computing? Cloud computing are those things that you yourself you know. It's just a matter of storing information and getting information through the internet, email, WhatsApp, call, anything you can think that is in the internet. These are just the area where you get information and be able to apply them in producing things that is going to be beneficial to you and keep it safe. Many of us now, if they say go and bring your particulars, you start going to do photocopy. You don't know that you can easily store it in the cloud. Anywhere you want to go, when you get there, you just call for it. It will come out. You can only do the same thing with agriculture, because most of this information that you need, that is going to improve agriculture with you, they are all in the cloud computing. Next slide. These are steps of ICT and so the next one is where you are having some challenges about the cost of agriculture. You can easily read that one through. Then let's read the last one. I think we are going to the last one now. Then another thing that is there is market structure. We are talking about what entails in the market structure. Most of us we study economics. We just drop that one out so that it will encourage us to know that by the time you are marketing things, see, one thing about this market structure is that you are all selling homogeneous things. If you are selling yam, the yam, I know they don't say, oh, for example, take Gary now, they will say Gary or something like that. I remember the last time I went to the market to buy Gary, after that, they don't say anything, and for one type of Gary. But at the end of the day, what is it? If you want to buy that, it's not really down, it's bringing down. But that is what? Yeah. And it's have to say, so please, what I always trying to say here is that we are going to the bank, we are not the bank. We are say the same thing, you do the same thing. So you must always try to make sure that your home is what? The best. So that by the time you get there, nobody will be able to push you over and say you are selling some standard products. Abi? So yes, let's go. And this, people are told about the risk involved. Okay? Risk involved in this agricultural something. We are all there and discussing it. You will have talked about this agricultural product and exports. But it's readable. We are always discussing at the time whether we are that or together. Agricultural product export. If you look at this now, we are talking about the step. If you are really involved in agriculture and now you want to probably step up to export and be earning dollars, we have brought something that you can use. Setting up your agricultural product export business in Africa and Nigeria included. The first thing is you must register your product export business. 2, find direct farm and sources of export. I know maybe I think we have time now. I could have asked for me to assist us in that way. They are the ones that travel to Brazil, America, and so on and so forth. Maybe they do export. They don't want to tell us. I will have tasked him now that he should help us in that area, but we don't have time. So 3, you have to set up a proper business structure, trade processes and branding. You register a business, you take a brand of your product, and now get ready to be able to see. In fact, it will surprise you to know that an Korean, I will mention the name, and the Korean E83 set is involved in this export. Yes, I can authoritatively tell you, but I won't tell you the name. It's what I know. The person is involved in this thing I'm telling you. So then 4, sources of international buyers, you must get it so that you'll be able to now sell directly to them. And then 5, export your products. Next slide. These are just challenges of agricultural product export business in Nigeria. They are really true. Very, very easy to understand. See, they are the only thing you might decide that might influence you or disturb you is this number 6. Over-trading and under-trading is an economic term. But it doesn't really concern you because as far as you want to produce, you want to import, export. So you don't actually do over-trading. But at times there are actually over-trading. Next slide. And then this number 7, many fake agricultural product suppliers in Africa make it difficult for agricultural products to buy to trust new entrants. It's very, very important. So when you get your customers, maybe you are in that business, you must make your customers trust you. You know, Nigeria, we are very dubious. They will say this water is video. By the time you open it, you discover that it is pure water. So those are the things. Then in conclusion, see, Africa should develop a shared vision on factors critical to future development. And then Africa can only experience a favorable trade balance in agricultural commodity if the domestic processing industries are encouraged. This one concerns government. We can always try, but if government does not encourage, you will still be discouraged. But then, if you remember, if you have passion, diligence, you are persistent, you will overcome this. Then importation of agriculture can be command that the continent could process cheaply should be discouraged. You understand? So this one is self-explanatory. Next one. So these are all the conclusion statements. Next one, we can all read that one through. I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Let's put our hands together for the speaker. Thank you. Justice has been done, and I believe every one of us had an impact from what the speaker has presented to us. Now, because of time factor, we are behind schedule, and we need to speed up so that we can meet up based on our time, based on the program schedule. So without wasting much of our time, I want to call the next paper presentation of his hospital in person of a Korean Dr. Olukayode Akekumi to present his paper.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm standing on existing protocols, and I want to appreciate the organizers of this retreat for considering me worthy to stand here before you to deliver this lecture. I'm not ungrateful. In fact, I'm highly honored, and I appreciate every one of you. Once again, my colleagues, it's good to be in your midst. I saw some people that I've not seen in 40 years. It's really a good feeling for me. And I've made up my mind yesterday that for as long as this kind of retreat will be happening, I'll always be amongst you every time this kind of thing is happening. All right. I want to also thank the last speaker for doing a wonderful job. In fact, areas that I never had knowledge of, he took us there. But I want to make a suggestion to the organizers that they should just consider it. I think one of the reasons why we are here is to gain knowledge. And that lecture is very, very insightful. So I want to suggest that looking at our program, maybe from 7 to 8, if we can get maybe 1 hour, 1.5, 2 hours, where we can see the prostrate gland is a small-sized organ, the size of a walnut or a ping-pong ball, very small, and is located in the pelvis, usually under the urinary bladder and in front of the rectum. I'll give you a picture where I can explain so that you have an idea of what we're talking about. It is predominantly found in males, and people assigned to be males at birth. Now, the reason we put that is that sometimes when a child is born, you can have what is called an indeterminate sex, You can't say whether the child is a male or a female. So these are some of the things that will help physicians to know that this child is actually genetically male. And, you know, they can do all the corrective surgery that they need to do. It is made up of connective tissue, muscular and glandular tissues. The muscles help to push semen through the urethra at ejaculation. It weighs about 30 grams, so you know how small the gland is as we're talking about it, and it's very smooth to touch. It sits deep in the pelvis between the penis and the bladder. It is possible to feel your prostate gland by doing what is called a digital rectal examination. When you put your finger in your rectum and you press anteriorly, that small, soft organ that you feel there is the prostate gland. Next slide. All right, so this is a pictorial diagram of what happens, the male reproductive organ. This is the bladder, this is the urinary bladder, and under it is the prostate. So this is the prostate gland. Now you observe that the urethra, that is the pipe that carries urine from the bladder outside, passes through the prostate. And that is where most of the problem comes. These are the testes, and you have the vast difference through which the spermatozoa that is produced from the testes goes and then comes out through the urethra. Next slide, please. Okay, so the urethra is a tube that carries urine out of the body and passes through the prostate. I've just demonstrated that. Because the prostate surrounds the urethra, prostate problems can affect urine flow. The prostate is also a part of the male sexual and reproductive anatomy, while other parts include the penis, the scrotum, and the testes. The primary function of the prostate is to contribute prostate fluid to the semen. The prostate fluid is what nurtures the spermatozoa until they are delivered to where they are supposed to be delivered to. The prostate contributes 20 to 30% of fluid to the total semen volume, and the remaining comes from the seminal vesicles, which contributes about 50 to 60% to the seminal volume, and then 5% from the testes. Next slide. The prostate fluid contains components that make the semen an ideal substance for sperm cells to live in. I just stated that, such as enzymes, zinc, and citric acid. Other important enzyme is the prostate-specific antigen. This PSA is very instrumental in knowing the health of the prostate. If you want to know how healthy your prostate is, one of the tests, or the commonest test that you do, is called the PSA, the prostate-specific antigen. And this makes the semen thinner and more fluid. Prostate fluid is slightly acidic, but other components of semen make it alkaline overall. This is to counter all the acidity of the vagina and make the sperm free from damage. I'm sure we still remember our chemistry. When you put acid and alkaline together, it neutralizes it. The prostate needs the male sexual hormone testosterone to function effectively. The prostate contains the enzyme 5-alpha reductase that converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, which is the one that is commonly, the substrate that is commonly used by the body. Next slide. Okay, so we want to look at the structure of the prostate. It's important that we get an idea of the structure, the location, and the function, so that we'll be able to appreciate the problems that it gives.
Line in. Line in.
Hello? 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 Hello?
The importance of that is that you cannot ejaculate and urinate at the same time. When the process of ejaculation is on, the bladder shuts off its entrance and therefore urine cannot be expelled. And that is why it is typical anatomical situations. It is impossible to urinate and ejaculate at the same time. Symptoms, so having known the structure of the prostrate, when somebody has challenge with the prostrate, what are the symptoms that he or she or he is going to have? The first thing is that they are going to have poor bladder control. In other words, you have what we call frequency. The person will be urinating so many times. As we are seated here, maybe in the last two and a half hours or thereabouts, a person will probably have gone to the toilet about 3 or 4 times within 2 hours. Now, why is that? Because the prostrate, when it enlarges, it doesn't enlarge outside because it's surrounded by a very strong capsule. It enlarges inwards. And because the urethra passes through, so when the person goes to urinate, he only passes out little volume of urine. There's still a large residual volume of urine left in the bladder. So when a little adds to that, it goes to urinate again. And the cycle repeats itself. So we call that frequency. So the person frequently visits the toilet. Then he also has terminal dribbling. What is terminal dribbling? When you go to urinate, initially the urine comes out as a jet. Find that for somebody who has prostate enlargement, the thing dribbles, scatters. Praise the Lord. And that's why you find that most people, the best way to know, when you are in a gathering like this and it's coming back and you see that part of his trouser is wet in front, that's a very good sign to tell you this man must be having some prostate issues. Then he has urgency, urinary urgency. No, when he's pressed, before he gets to the toilet, if he's not careful, he will start expelling the urine on his body. He has hesitancy. What is hesitancy? He has the urge to urinate. He goes to the toilet and he has to wait for some time before the urine starts coming out. These are symptoms of urine is coming. It comes out as a jet. But for people who have prostate issues, because of the compression of the urethra, they have a poor stream of urine. And such people, because of the residual urine that is always left in the bladder, they are always prone to certain things. Number one, they are prone to having infection because the bladder is not completely emptied. There's always urine accumulating in the bladder. Please, let's update the slide. Next one. Next slide. Okay, hold on. Hold it there. All right. So, apart from the fact that they have infection in the urine, they also have a tendency to develop bladder stones. How does bladder stones develop? If, for example, you take a cup of water, and you put salt inside, and you stir the salt, what happens to the salt? It dissolves. So when you keep adding salt, it keeps dissolving, but you will get to a point when the water is saturated with salt. No matter how much you stir, you find particles of salt at the base of the glass. Good. If you now pour the salt water, you are careful enough to pour the salt water into another glass, exempting the particles of salt at the bottom of the glass. Initially, in that new glass, you don't find something at the bottom of it. But leave that glass for 2-3 hours. By the time you come back, you see that salt grains have sedimented at the bottom. Because part of the salt that is saturated will now sediment. That is how bladder stones are formed. Urine carries waste products of metabolism from the body, to the outside. But when urine stays in the bladder for a long time, those waste products sediment and then they solidify and form bladder stones. And then you can also have kidney stones. because once there is accumulation of urine in the bladder, you have a backflow up to the kidney, and then urine starts accumulating in the kidney, and the person can also develop kidney stones. When somebody develops kidney stones, that person is on his way to having a renal failure if care is not taken. So other symptoms that person can present with can have pain in the penis, in the scrotum, or in the inguinal region. Person can have hematuria, that is blood in the urine, and severe discomfort in the lower part of the abdomen. So these are some of the symptoms that prostate enlargement can present with. Now you also have a condition known as prostatitis. What is prostatitis? That is inflammation of the prostate. The prostate is not enlarged, but it is inflamed. Of course, if it is inflamed, there will be a little bit of enlargement. And this is basically due to infections. Sometimes you can have acute prostatitis and chronic prostatitis. It's important that when you have any challenge, please, let's visit our physician so that the problem can be accurately diagnosed and it can be treated. The commonest prostate problem in males under 50, and around 10 to 15% of males in the US will get prostatitis. And like I said, it's a very common problem. Here, because of self-medication, a lot of people don't get to present in the hospital. We don't see that condition frequently. It's only when they develop prostate enlargement that we see them. Okay, so the next one, good. So this is another diagram. It's giving us a cross-section, sagittal section of the male pelvis. And then this is a bladder here. Okay, if it's, yeah, good. That's the bladder. You see a part of the functionality of the prostate. So now we have said that prostate issues happen within the 5th and 6th decades of life and so on. And when it happens, the commonest thing that happens to it is the enlargement. Now look at this pipe. This is the bladder. That's the pipe, the urethra, that carries urine from the bladder down through the bulbous urethra and outside. Now this is the prostate gland here, right underneath the bladder. So when the prostate enlarges, it compresses this tube and makes it difficult for urine to pass. And that's where most of the problems of the prostate gland comes from. So the commonest challenge for men in their 5th and 6th decades is enlargement of the prostate. And we have mentioned some of the things that, some of the symptoms that you can present with. When the prostate enlarges, it presses and pinches the urethra, narrowing the tube. This narrowing of the urethra and a reduced ability to empty the bladder completely leads to residual urine, okay? Residual urine and frequency. I've explained all that. As the condition persists, the bladder may become weak and unable to empty completely, leading to urinary retention. In fact, sometimes people come in urinary retention, acute urinary retention. That's the first time they will get to know that they have problems with prostate. They just discover that they are pressed and they cannot urinate. In fact, I will never forget, 3 years ago, at 2 a.m., I was awoken by a patient, an elderly man, I think he's in his late 60s. He walked 1 kilometer plus, barefooted from his house, because he could not urinate. This man was sweating profusely. He could not sit down. It can be a very serious condition. And after we relieved his retention, I was asking him, but aren't you having any symptoms? He said no, that he just discovered that night that he couldn't pass urine. Now, enlarged prostate needs to be differentiated from prostate cancer, even though they are they are almost like twins. They present the same way. And that's why when somebody has issues with prostrate, it's important that you get to a physician, because the fear of prostate cancer, let me say, is the beginning of wisdom. Prostate cancer, if it is detected early, can be totally eradicated. However, most people don't present early, they present late, and by the time they are coming, the cancer has spread from the prostate to adjoining organs, and it makes treatment very difficult. So it's important that we know that prostate, by the time you are getting to 50, 60, just like you go to check your blood pressure and your blood sugar regularly, another organ that you must check regularly is the prostate, so that you know the state of the health of your prostate, and then whatever things that you need to do can be done. Next slide, please. Okay, go on. All right, just an addendum. When a person develops some of these symptoms enumerated, it is important to see a doctor who correctly diagnose the problem and recommend appropriate investigations and treatments. It is also important, that is just the point I just made last. It's important to go for regular PSA estimation, at least twice a year, to ensure that one does not wake up with BPH someday. Thank you very much. Yeah, questions? Okay. The mic, yeah. Okay, let's the president. Yes.
Meet me, Babului. This is very wonderful, very applicable to us, as we fall in the age range where we see a lot of these cases. I am happy that one of us, with wisdom, asked that while we are in Ibadan, we should screen for prostate cancer. We listened, and yesterday, all of us were screened. The results hopefully should be out today. If not today, maybe tomorrow. And myself, Dr. Akikumi, and another doctor friend will have an opportunity to go over the results and counsel every Ekorian that is here. I'm glad that Dr. Akikumi has chosen to come and talk to us about prostate problems, you know, because we had a challenge with one of us, and it was an eye-opener for a lot of our members, and a lot of members asked questions and they learned a lot. And I think this will just drill it home, you know, the importance of prostate health. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much, Dr. Akikumi. My question is, what are the preventions? How do we prevent prostate enlargement? Because last time when we were talking about prostate, one of us is here with us, was very boastful about it. And he was trying to tell me that because it's very, very sexually active, that it cannot be affected by prostate enlargement. I don't want to mention anybody's name. But please, get you now.
Okay. Yeah. Let me answer his question. Okay. All right. Just like I said at the beginning of the presentation, that it's almost like a natural thing that when a man is attaining the 5th and 6th decade of life, there is almost nothing he can do to prevent an enlargement. Now, that does not necessarily mean that everybody is going to have prostate issues. There are people who, some go up to the age of 90 and they don't have any problems with their prostate issues. But there's really nothing that one can do. I have read a lot of things online about having sex regularly. In fact, I think somebody said that you need to have sex about 21 times in a month. Well, I have not read any paper. I have not read any. Sorry. I've not read any paper or any peer review that suggests that that may be true. I'm willing, if anybody has any research that has been done to suggest that that is true, I'm willing to, read and update my knowledge on that. But I think there's really nothing that one can do to prevent it. Whether you have sex regularly or you don't have sex regularly, the person that will develop prostate enlargement will develop prostate enlargement. That's just it. You say? Okay. Okay, all right. Okay. Ekorian Majek.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akikumi. You have always been so helpful, Concerning me, you have done so many things. I want to say thank you once again. Yesterday we had this scanning, the prostrate stuff. Now, many things will be discovered. Many of us are not showing any symptoms. But whatever comes out of the result, now that we are still standing, can it be probably managed without any fear?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, depending on what the result says, we can advise proper line of management. It's a Korean Odwewu. Yes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akikumi.
Yes.
Now that you have been told that it is almost impossible for men above 60 to run away from having symptoms of, is it safe to say here that could prostrate be genetic or hereditary in some cases?
Okay. So, when medical knowledge is not stagnant, it's being updated every time. Like I said, every male has prostrate. And right now, medical science cannot determine what conditions a person needs to fulfill in order to develop prostate enlargement. In other words, nobody knows what you need to do or what you need to abstain from in order to have it or in order not to have it. So one would not say that it is genetically inherited. You understand? One cannot say that because over 20 years of practice, I have seen men who had prostate and their offspring do not develop those kind of issues. So it's neither here nor there.
Thank you. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, House. My question is this. Is there any correlation between prostate cancer and erectile dysfunction? Erection in men and prostate cancer, do they have anything in common? Can it affect each other?
Okay. From the basic anatomy that we reviewed during the presentation, you will notice that the urethra, that's the pipe that carries urine from the bladder outside, serves dual purpose. It carries urine and also carries semen. And because of that, once there is anything affecting that pipe, it means that it also affects the sexuality. You understand? So it can affect sexuality, but more importantly, there are other things that are common causes of erectile dysfunction, even before we start talking about prostrate. Hormonal problems, psychological problems, those, and then other comorbidities, hypertension, diabetes, and then you can also have drug interactions or drug side effects of drugs causing erectile dysfunction. So those are the commonest causes of erectile dysfunction before you start talking about prostrate. But of course, if anything is affecting the prostrate, of course, it will also tell on, okay, let's have, yes.
Indomino.
Confidimus.
Thank you very much, doctor. My question is, this prostrate thing, is it an African thing or a black man's thing? That is one. Two, does our food or the way we eat has anything to do with it? Thank you.
Okay. I don't think it's an African thing. It's just that we are not, when it comes to medical statistics, we don't keep too much of statistics in Nigeria, or let me say we don't harness our figures very well. So it's important, it's not, it's difficult to be able to compare the predominance of prostate cancer in blacks and in Caucasians. And one cannot say which one has more cases. However, I can tell you categorically clear that it happens both in blacks and in Caucasians too. So it's not a black man thing entirely. And then as per food, I'm not aware that there is any kind of food that when you eat it, it predisposes the person to developing prostate enlargement. Or whether if you prevent or if you avoid eating those foods, you can then be sure that you are not going to develop it. No, sir.
Thank you, sir, for this lecture. My name is Korean Timitope Uluabi, National PRO.
Okay.
The issue of prostate enlargement or cancer came up. I usually get emotional because that is what actually led to the demise of my dad when it happened. But I got it. I think it was almost late. I started finding it difficult to relate. So that was the initial idea we had. We just found it, but later for tests, we discovered that it's actually prostate enlargement. So some drugs were administered on him, but by the time we got the information, we heard that it was somehow late, that it has generated into cancer, which has somehow affected his kidney and some other stuff. So eventually, we lost him. But I've been getting certain information about prostate, and it's getting me agitated. I discovered that most men actually have it. I'm privileged to have an interview with, I accompanied someone to have an interview with Baba. So he was now narrating his own experience with prostate, that they had to take him to an hospital for an operation. That it was even while he was there, some people visited him, that the former governor of Ogun State, Olusegun Oshoba, visited him and told him that he also had that same operation. So I now wanted to ask that, is there no other option when he probably gets to that level than operation? Then there is also this top actor, Kola Oyewo. So he said his entire scrotum was removed.
The testis, you know.
Yes, that everything was removed. So I was like, is there no other alternative than surgical operation to treat what's it called? Prostate enlargement?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very brilliant question. Now, I deliberately avoided talking about treatments because I think that is way above our purview here. I think the aim of having this kind of presentation is just to create awareness so that we'll all be aware of the possibility of this kind of thing. Now, when it comes to treatment options, there are, I think the first thing is to determine exactly what the problem is. Is it a prostate enlargement or is it prostate cancer? The two of them are different. And somebody may have a prostate enlargement and may not progress to cancer, whereas somebody can have prostate cancer from the beginning, from the word go. So that's why I said it's important that proper investigations and diagnosis be made. And that's why for us in the medical field, once we see anybody with prostate enlargement, we want to rule out cancer. And the only way to rule out cancer is to do a biopsy. They take a biopsy and then take it to the lab, and once the result comes out and it says it's just an enlargement, then there are treatment options, which could be medications. There are medications that you can take that will help to shrink the size of the prostate and make the person symptom-free. And there's also surgical intervention. Because once you start the medication the person has to keep taking the medication for the rest of his life. Some people can say, no, I don't want that kind of thing. So the other option is surgical intervention. And what do? They just remove the prostate gland. Now, when somebody is considering that, there are certain counsels that the physician will tell the person that once the prostate gland is removed, there is a complication that is called retrograde ejaculation. In other words, when the person is having sexual activity, when he ejaculates, nothing comes out. Rather, it goes in, all the semen goes into the bladder. That's what's called retrograde ejaculation. So that person is almost rendered impotent. He can have his normal sexual intercourse, but he will not be able to impregnate a woman. Then, now cancers, there are different kinds of cancers that happen to the prostate. When we are talking about the structure, I mentioned that you have connective tissue cells, you have glandular cells. So cancer can arise from any of those components. Now for glandular cells, if you have a cancer of the glandular cells of the prostate, one of the things that they commonly do is to remove the testes. Because I also said sometime that the prostate needs the hormone testosterone to work, and it is the testes that produces testosterone. So once you remove the testes, there's no testosterone that stimulates the prostate again. Well, again too, for somebody who is sexually active, for him to accept that kind of treatment may be a bone of contention. So, but there are various treatment options. I hope I've answered your question. Okay. All right. I think I've exhausted all my questions. Okay. There's another question here. Okay. Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Akikomi. Can we please put our hands together for Dr. Kayode Akikomi? The next speaker is Dr. Mrs. Toke Adele, and she will be talking to us on stress management, coping with mental and financial stress. Is she here? I think the session is outside somewhere. Cardi, look outside and ask for Dr. Mrs. Toke Adele outside. While we're waiting for her, I think we've had a very, very interesting morning with the two topics that we have discussed so far. The one on agriculture, I would like to hear it again. And a lot of the members here have said the same thing to me, that they would like to hear that lecture again. I think what we can do, because of time constraint, is when we have our dinner tonight, maybe we'll have questions and answer session. You know, because it's very practical to us. We'll spend like an hour, as suggested by Dr. Akikomi. And my emeritus has agreed to enlighten us a little more. The people that have questions can ask. You know, not all of us were able to ask our questions, you know, because of the time constraint. In terms of the prostate health, I would just like to reinforce what Dr. Akikomi has said. He said to have your PSA done twice every year. I think because of cost, it may be difficult and challenging. In our own part of the world, in the Western climate, we actually don't do it twice a year. Matter of fact, we do it once a year or once every couple of years. If it's abnormal, obviously, then you check more often, you know, to ensure that it stays in control. I'm not sure whether he alluded to some of the reasons why PSA can be falsely elevated. He might have, because it was a very detailed lecture. if you have sex before you have your PSA, it's going to go up. If you have digital exam, rectal exam on sex, your PSA will go up. You know, there are some intakes that also affects PSA, stress and things like that. And that is why what we do in our climb is to repeat the test when it's abnormal. You know, we repeat it. And if it's still abnormal, then we'll proceed to, you know, scheduling you for a biopsy to see what's really going on in there. Dr. Mrs. Toke Adele is here. I would not like to waste our time. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Dr. Mrs. Toke Adele.
Good afternoon. I think I'm not new to you. I was here last year. If you can still remember very well. It was fun last year. I'm very sure this year too will be more better than last year. It's just that we have faced a lot between that last year and this year. And that is what bring about this topic. You know, topic to present to you is not peculiar to you alone. It's about me. It's about everybody. This can happen to anybody. So it's an interesting one. So I love to present anything that has to do that I myself will learn from it. I think I have my, okay. Okay. I've forgotten how we used to greet ourselves. I've forgotten. Maybe somebody will just remind me. Oh, okay. Indomino. You are welcome. Okay, Indomino. Just pardon me. Like I was discussing with Prof, I said it's unfair. Oh. You have Eko boys. There is no Eko girls. Koda. Hey, where is Eko girls? I'm bred in Mushi. Oh. I grew up in Mushi. Yes. Yes, I'm a Mushina. No. Alasa, I got close. Okay. So, yes, Mushin is a very nice place to live. Let me tell you a small story I share with people. I said, God bless my dad. I usually say, God bless him. You know, Mushin then, that was when all those Fuji artists were just growing. Every one of us will understand. So in the night now, when they send me to go and buy Amala Babalola, I will just, I will just go and, jump. I'll be dancing there. I will carry my daddy Amala. I'll put it somewhere. I'll be dancing. I learned a lot. I learned then after the whole show, when all those guys are talking more rishi, they start throwing bottles. I learned that. That was the day I went to one of the jump, and the guy wanted to carry my daddy Amala. I was like, wahala, daddy Amala ke. I didn't know how they do it, but I saw 2 gold spots. I throw one up. I carried the second one to, I think, those boys, I was just 11 years, 10 to 11 years. Those boys ran away. And I never knew that. It's opposite one of my friends. So that one has to go to the house. Before me, say, Alaji, eti daron. I'm eating fogo. At 11 years, my daddy was just crying. mo gbé. Yeah. It was so like, mo gbé, mo dáràn. I couldn't enter the house, so I had to run somewhere. They started looking for me. That was when my daddy decided that I have to leave this area. And a year after, we left. So at the age of 13, I left Mushi. And you know the funniest thing? The place is a new place, so and if anybody do something, I say, about serious, no, Mushi. So my dad couldn't do. Yes, couldn't so all daddies in the world. And that doesn't mean that we are not good moonshine now. A lot of us, that boldness, that confidence, all those things are there. They are resilient. I'm sorry if I'm deviating, but it's a good story. So it's a good story. We build your resilience. Mushi will build, you bring out that person in you. Yes, so it's good. It's a good foundation for me. And today, I'm proud to say that I'm a moonshiner. So, my name is Irime Oritoke. My father's name is Olasheo, which I use with it, and I'm married to Adele family. I'm a counseling psychologist. Yes, I read counseling all through. B.Ed counseling, M.Ed counseling, PhD counseling. So when we are talking about anything that has to do with wellness, mental health, I'm a complete, full-grown psychologist. And the first thing about our department is, after being a psychologist, you can either also, have another course, which is career. So I'm a career coach, counselor, and consultant. Yes, I'm a skills trainer. I train in various fields, especially vocational, personal development, and all areas. And to crown it all, I am a speaker. Yes, that is why I'm here today. So for us now, today, I'm a full-blown on any topic that related to this. When we are talking about stress, financial stress. Before I go to financial stress, stress itself is a big issue. There are different types of stress, so there is nothing that is not stress. When we are talking about emotional stress, marriage stress, child bearing stress, business stress, especially if you find yourself in a country like ours. In a country like ours, like Nigeria, Nigeria itself on its own is just stress. Because we have no direction. We will go front. We will go back like this. Policies are good, but sometimes they bring out policies. We may be having a very good time with a policy. Somebody somewhere will just wake up with some kind of policy that will just scatter everything. And that is when they change money. Why would they change money at that time? Why? Because that money is still in circulation. If you are not careful, you will spend 100, 200 naira as 100 naira. The most annoying out of it is the 1,000. I couldn't even differentiate 50 naira and 1,000. So if I have 50 naira with me, I usually keep it separate, so that I won't have to spend my 1,000 naira as 50 naira. So there are so many things we need to know. The introduction, what are stressors? What really stresses us? Then we will now go to the financial stress itself and the effects on our mental health and our physical. Then how to deal with this financial stress. Let me give you another When I was going through this, the one I so much love is how to deal with it. You know what? Because all the things I was just going over and over and researching are something that, I didn't know. So that's why I said, this topic is not about you, it's about me. I learned too. I learned a lot. I will tell you the ones that really touched me while I was going through it. So now, when we are talking about stress, I said everything stress us. Anything at all stress us. Policies and so many things, it will stress us. Now, all those things I mentioned are stressors. But we have to categorize it. Because if you understand the type of stress you have, then you will now know how to deal with it. So we have to categorize it. We have physiological stress. This physiological stress happens suddenly. Just maybe somebody had an accident, for instance. Now, okay, but yeah, accident, Shelley. Maybe somebody gave birth. And, it's an adjustment. Most times, the physiological stress comes when you have to adjust to a change in your life. Then the second one, lifestyle stress. Our work. Suddenly, they just see you that you are good. They now decided that all the workload of that organization, they'll put it on you. You that when you leave office before, you just go and sit down one place and enjoy your life. Then you have to start closing late. Demand are on you. A lot of things are on you. You don't have choice. It will stress you. It will really, really stress you. Then the next one is also the organizational stress too, work stress. Sometimes it may not be that we have promotion. It's just as the company will just come with one wahala. Organization will just come with one policy. Maybe something is somewhere is happening in the organization. Maybe decision or something will just come. So we also have organizational stress. That can stress us. Society can stress us. Environment can stress us. Disaster can come in. You see what happened 3 or 4 days ago in Ibadan. You've not been here. Water everywhere. So disaster can come. Anything can stress us. But you need to identify which of the stress are you facing. If you don't know the kind of stress you are facing, you may be having issues. So now, part of what can stress us is finance. But see, finance I like to tell stories. How this really hammer me. Corona time 2019. I needed to expand my business. I came into training. I have vocational training centers. I train the young adults. I prepare who are finishing from are graduating. I prepare them. That's what I do. So to expand. 2019, I look for more. So a center, I started a center 2019. It was fun. Expanding. January 2020, I launched it. And cameraman, everybody, they all came. January, February, first week in February, we started training in that place. A lot of people come around. All I thought is that, first batch, I want to buy a wọlé right. March, Corona started. And the most unfortunate thing is that I was in Ibadan. I came for a program when Corona started. Corona met me in Ibadan. And the whole Lagos State was locked down. How do I go back to Lagos State? What do I do? I tried to call some of my staff, but there's nothing they could do. Everybody had to, how Corona time was. And this new center that I just opened was closed for almost 4 months. And by the time I got back there, the physical training is no longer effective because everybody is now moving training into the online. And that is how I wasted close to 6 million to start a new center. Just like that. By September 2020, Temiti Bami, Awolowo ti ń bèrè owó. So I had to go through a lot. I saw so many things. I closed down one of the center. I have to So I went through financial stress during those periods. It was an hit on me. So it's painful. So part of the stories I told you now, I will also tell you, and you as our senior citizens, you must have gone through one or two of what I just made mention. Oh, short. So now, those are financial stress are stress that come with something that you don't expect before. Now, we all know what we went through during the process of changing money. Because you don't want to know, but that's what they tell us. Oh, but I don't know what to do. They decided to change money. These policies can come at any time, and it's affected a lot of us. It will just come like this. You will not even know. I wonder who are those people there that will just come up with one or two policies, and at the end of the day, it will not affect everybody. So we are bound to have a financial stress. Now, how does it affect our mental health? Hello? I think I'm faster than you. How does it affect our mental health? This type of stressor, physiological, lifestyle, I made mention of stress, and social, major life events, yes. Maybe you just lose somebody. For a woman who just lose a child, or for a man who lose his wife. So it will be under stress, environmental stress and organizational stress. So what we are talking about now is financial stress. So now, how does it affect our health? Give me effects on us. You know, I just tell you that, hey, and the love everywhere. It's not like that, oh. It's more than that, oh. Yeah, it affects a lot of things in us. The first thing is depression. We treated depression last year. Hey. Depression, anxiety. You started thinking, what is the way out? How do I do it? What do I need to do? Ah, God, what is happening? From anxiety, it will lead to depression. From depression, then you start withdrawn, social withdrawn. Because you feel that you are not fit. You feel that maybe you have problem with money now, going out. Somebody you sell one or two of your cars. You'd have been moving around with car before. You no longer have car. Shame. All these things attached to it. So it affected us more than what we expected. When things like this come up, I only mentioned 4 or 5. Excuse me. I only mentioned 4 or 5. I think 4 or 5 or 6. Yes. But it's more than that. It's more than that. Okay, go. Okay, so, hello, stop. So depression, withdrawal from social activities, it increased anxiety, shame about our financial situations, and feeling hopelessness. When you cannot handle the situation again, you feel like, why am I living? You feel hopeless. You feel sad, constant sadness. So it has a major effect on our mental health and physical health. The physical pain is stomach. You know, that time I was always going to the hospital. I'll go there today. The kind of explanation I give to those doctors, kudos to our doctors. We have doctors in the house. No doctor? Unnecessary things you come to tell you. If I go to the doctor, I'll say, doctor, can you confirm me? The doctor will just ask me, will give me drug. The following day, I'll come back again. Again, I will still go again. The doctor now asks me, madam, problem. I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling. That is why most of the pains we have at times could be an underlying factor of psychological issues. So he now said, you know what? Is there anything going on in your life now? I said, Ogamo Jegbese. Okay, let me refer you. So he referred me to a psychologist. I did not even introduce myself as a psychologist. So when I got to the person was just looking at me. I just started crying. Because I'm a psychologist, I know what to do. I just cried. Just let me start telling you my from A to C. You know, I said, okay, how do you plan to deal with it? I said, I don't know. Okay, let's see how we can deal with it. And after I settle this, I go back to my doctor. Doctor, no complaints, sir. So sometimes if we did not settle it, it can lead to something. Because if your high blood pressure keep rising, they said it affects our organs. If you don't deal with it, so your organs will start deteriorating. And that's more reason why we have to deal with it when it comes. So it's very, very important. So now, how do we deal with it? How many minutes do I have, sir? Because I can talk. Okay.
You have until 1:30.
Okay. So, how do we now deal with it? How? The first thing we need to do. Okay. Now, these are causes, I've made mention of it. Job loss, bankruptcy, foreclosure, poor financial literacy, debt, unexpected costs, failed business ventures, which I made mention, the gambling addiction, shopping addiction. You see, shopping addiction. I will tell you another story. Then life transitions, like when you are growing from one stage to another. Lack of savings, financial abuse, supporting family members and others, pre-existing mental health conditions, then physical health conditions. Yeah. So now, how do we deal with stress? We have to look for the causes. Causes, there is nothing you can do. What is the underlying tone? You know, like I said, I've been to my doctor. I'll complain of headache. Only for me. Do me. But they have the learning tone. Yes. We need to practice stress management techniques. There are ways you can deal with it. When you see this is a stressor. Financial issues is a stressor. So when it's come like that, you know that you have problem. Identify the root cause and see how you can manage. Then stay informed. Increase your financial literacy. All of us, we are just spending money. I've been accountant in the house. We are just spending money. I can know only few people has the knowledge of financial literacy. Only few people. You know what? I went for a program like this, and when that woman came and told me, he told us some things. He said, when we have money, we should divide it into 4. I was like, divide it. So as I did, the woman said, what we need to do is, we need to have different accounts. He said, when you have, for us that are into business, you have a business account where all the money that you are expecting, then the money should be distributed like this. Savings, spending, their household. That is how we should spread the money. I was like, is it possible for me to start spreading money? And I started doing it. I just discovered that. You know what you will discover? I discovered excesses. I just discovered that, okay, if I send money to here, send money to here, eléyìí ò tiẹ̀ ní tó kankan, eléyìí á wá pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ, eléyìí gan-an á wá tún lé díẹ̀. That was when I now discovered that there are some that I spend too much on. There are some that I thought in my analysis. There are some that I thought is the one that is taking money from me. I never knew. You know, all of us will think that I run a law school and someone is the one that take money from us. Have you thought of this data? Have you thought of this call? Have you thought of our unnecessary expenses? That was when this woman taught us that our miscellaneous is what we should look into. Because at the end of the day, our miscellaneous is even more than what we spend on the major thing. When you look at your house rent, for instance, now, let's say you are paying a total of 500,000 naira per year. In a month, that should be 45,000, Abby? Yes, in a month. You look at school fees, but yeah, in a month. You look at food. Those are where our money is going now. Transport, food, data. That is where our money is going now. You hardly buy clothes. Maybe you just buy clothes once or twice in a year. Maybe you just change your wardrobe. For us who know how to manage clothes now, Mosira Kampala. Form another style. I will not spend any money again. But what do I do to data? What do I do to fuel? What do I do to transport myself, even if I'm not with a car? What am I going to do to food? So by the time you understand, you know financial literacy, you will now know where your money is going into. You will be able to identify it. That is very important. Then, identify top sources of financial stress. Top sources. This one is causes now. There are top sources. What is the top sources? In my own case, top sources is that government policy just scatter the whole thing for me. And I borrowed. If I had not borrowed, I may not have issues. I may just be thinking of that. What are the top sources? I borrowed. If I had not borrowed, maybe my problem wouldn't have been as much as that. So how do I deal with this? Now, take inventory of your finances. That is why you need a financial literacy. Because if you don't know how to take inventory of your finances, you get it. We can learn it. Thank God Google is our friend. We can learn it there. Pinpoints. Spend 3 days. And like I said, I won't bring day by one problem day by. I don't know how to carry my triggers in the air. Because I don't know. The only thing is I don't know. What's it wallet? I don't know how to not to spend it. I don't know. Majority of us ask that. Some people, that is when they now feel that yes, I want to start feeling. That triggers. Because something triggers you to spend this money. So if you now know it, for women, let's say shopping. Problem is shopping for us is like a prize. It's like we are happy. It's what? Yes. Is it that after you have issue, you go into gambling? Yes, bet Nigeria. I want you to say that they're going to go to enjoy gambling. Like me, once you call no wala hamster. Hamster combat. Once you call no. This issue, what's been going? You need to pinpoint it. You need now to sit down and prioritize what is very important for you. As I did, what I did was that, okay, now all training has been moved online. So the essence of 3 centers, It's not longer. It's not selling so those things to pay back some of the loans. So I said, thank God it's my house. I had to rent. I got money to rent to pay back. Thank God for my doctor who introduced me to a psychologist who helped me analyze all these things and see how we can come out of it. And by the grace of God, I came out of it. So, I don't know that time that deal with this. So now, debt is the main, I would say that is the heart of stressors that we have. Nigeria is having problems today because they are into serious basic. Debt can kill. That's why you see some people, they come to ask for them. So, how will you tell somebody who is owing bank 5 million and they want to take a property of 25 million to replace 5 million? How will you not tell that person, come and pokuso? But there is always a way out of it. Whatever debt you owe, list it. Okay, as my knowledge, you need to deal with medicals. If you have it, you need to deal with it. Our house, some of us don't know that the where we stay is where our problems are. You wake up in the morning, you carry clothes this way. The house will have, you watch, if you have been through it, the house will have turned upside down. Is anybody have been to financial stress? Amio. So the house will have turned upside down. Sometimes we may not even see our children again. Something will have been, a lot of things will have changed because we are covered with what we are going through. So you need to deal with all the overall stress. All the stress. Work in your house. Make sure everything is intact. Maybe you have problem at work. Make sure everything is intact. Work on all other stress while you are dealing with your financial stress. Then budget. Create a monthly budget. Be strategized. I told you that I went to my bank officers and I told him, Oga, me only gain, but I will pay. This is how I'm going to pay. And that is how I strategize. So, by doing that, I'm to pay maybe 50 or 60 or 70, I can't remember again, every month. That allows me to create budgets, which means that by the end of every month, I'm to pay back loan of maybe 70,000 naira. So all the money that will comes in, then I'll be able to have a budget. Then, I've dealt with triggers. Whatever I don't need it. While I was doing this analysis, do you know what? I found out that I have, in my whole house, we have like 6 phones. I don't know how it happens like that though, but I just see that we have 6 phones, like 4 or 5 laptops, like we have 3 cars. I was like, wow. See, I don't know, this is where my money is going to. Only me, I have iPad, I have small phone, and I have another phone. That is 3. Only me, I have 1 laptop, big one, and I have small one. Only me. Oh. That was when I said, so I have to remove iPad. I removed the small laptop. I now small phone, and I was now using only one that I know can do everything. So the small laptop, I said, ever me upgrade it. So I removed the big one, I kept it somewhere. You can see if you are able to analyze your financial status, you will identify so many things. So because I reduced that, because I'm spending too much on data. If I have 3 phones, I'll be spending much on calls and data. So now that I have 1, I'm able to manage myself with what I have. So by that, I'm able to create budget for myself, which help me. Hello, which help me to be able to deal with it. So now, I made mention of manage your overall stress, then calm your mind. Nothing do you. Nigeria Jack me say. Dangote, when he was having, we never knew that Jack Bese until when federal government in Ile Ekono to pariwo sita. Everybody are debtors. So it's not peculiar to you. The only thing is that better debt. When you borrow money, that is shokwa no. I don't know. So there are better debts. When you are going into debt, make sure that it's something meaningful that will bring more money for you. So calm down. Prioritize what you can control. Out of all these, which one can I control? Prioritize. One you cannot control, then leave it. That's how I want to make by it. Face that. Pastor Carol, Pastor, are you pastor, sir? No pastor among us. Okay. So, pastors too will face it that time. We call it time. Pastor, what is it do? Then find ways to earn money. Wow. You know, I told you, I lost a lot. But after the whole thing, reducing my sentence, that was when I now sat down to find a way to earn without spending. I found a way where money will be coming in without spending. So I make sure that I go into another set of business where I won't have to erect anything again. I go into another set of business where I will have to just provide my service and live there, collect my money and shop my money and my money alone. I go into another business that will bring in more money for me. I try to have multiple streams of incomes. So I decided that all streams of income only money. You know, I told you that this is my house. So renting that place out now took me to having a real estate idea. So I moved into real estate. Ṣebí ká ti wọ inú bush ni ká ti wálẹ̀ kó dẹ̀ ti jẹ́ tòótọ́. Then I started that Then this speaking job, I was doing it then, and I see it as major. Then I started a counseling firm. I control over 500 counselors. So I find a way to earn money. Between 2020 and now, I have tried to build like 4 different types of business. Because I see that money needs to come in. I don't want to find myself in that situation again. It's so painful when you are there. So you need to find a way to earn money. I've given you an idea. You can go into production when you are here. It's very key. Me, I can't go because I cannot buy fish. Be 3 million. Possible. I cannot go into poultry. But if you can go into that. Some people are strong, they are risk takers. But for mine, I know that the only thing I can do is to create different types of services business that I will just do, collect my money, and I will shop it alone. I will not be thinking of, okay, I collect this money, masawo rent, masawo kiniko, staff, I don't want that again. Because I want to shop alone. Because I work it alone. So I want to shop alone. So now, expect the unexpected. The unexpected. We are bound to face it in life. As we changes, as we transition, as we move from one place to another. If you really want to grow in life, we will face it. I wanted to grow. If I had waited for one center, I would have found myself in that situation. But I wanted to grow. And I grow because it helped me to identify other source of income. So you are bound to face it. So expect it when it comes, but know how to deal with it. And the last one, seek support. Seek support. You see, these 6 supports, we have to be very careful with it. Now, consult with an expert financial advisor. Now, because financial advisor, no. Yes, that's why we need to be careful. That's why I give kudos to those who are in charge of these programs. There are some points, there are some information that I have dropped here today that if you listen very well, you will be able to use it and work with it. So you need to be very careful. And sometimes if you have them as a friend, you can tell them that when I get out of it, I'm going to do very well for you. Just give me an idea. You could have it as a friend. In church, they may have people who understand finances who can help us out. So we need to be very careful. If you have the money, I'm not saying that we shouldn't go for the expertise of professionals. But when we are looking for money, but when you see your expertise, be open to them. If they see the sincerity in you, they will definitely help. You can go for loan on it when it's come out. Okay? Help me. I have a friend that has problem with this loan. About 2 million. No, loan shark. So we have to get a financial advisor, and he asked us, how much are you holding? How much are you ready to pay back? The whole loan was like 2 point something. He said he can pay 1.5. Said, okay, no problem. Out of the 1.5, I'll collect 300,000. You give them 1.2, and that was how they started. So when he wanted to pay the 1.2, he already gathered 1.5. So he paid the loaner 1.2, and he gave the financial advisor 300 for a good, well job done. So you can talk to them. So now, trusted friends and family support. This is not the time to keep quiet. Like I told you, shame is part of it. You have to shame the shameless. Leave shame alone. Shame is the reason why we have issues. Shame is the reason why our health will be affected. Tell who cares to know. Don't keep it to yourself. In the process of doing cho, they will give you an idea. You get out of it first. By the time you get out of it first, I don't know. Ẹnu tó fi ní Adégún, òun náà ṣì ń bọ̀ náà padà bọ̀ wá sọ pé Adé Ògùn mọ́, àwọn náà ṣì máa dé still that person. You will now be part of àwọn èèyàn tó máa fi sọ̀rọ̀ pé lágbájá when he was in this case and he come out of it kò ṣáà parẹ́. So please turn out to trusted friends and family for support. Then communicate often. Share absorbed. That's why we always tell people to talk. Please talk. Leave shame as alone. Tonikaluku wala. So, and we will all face it either at our early stage, mid stage, or later in life. So I don't care. If I have issues, I will tell people, no man, issues. So I have these issues. So the funny thing is that you have an issue. You want to go and miss that person. This person stay beside you. You did not talk. This person could have the solution to your problem. And the most important thing, I did not mention this one. Please go extra in seeking help. Those extras are your psychologists, your pastors, those two, because you need to deal with your well-being. That is where your psychologist will come in. Then prayer to come out of it. That is where your pastor or your mom will come in. So now we all stress about something from time to time, but implementing any of these simple actions items can help you feel more in control of the situation. See the positive changes you can make to your money management. To that, let's know how to manage money. Save for the rainy day. It's not easy to save, and when we are saving, our accountants, they did not tell us that when our money is 100,000, we should save 50,000. That is not what the savings mean. Savings means that anything that can come your money that will not even feel up. 100,000 for instance. To be saving 5,000 naira, I'll be 2,000 naira every month. That 2,000 naira total constant. I have a friend that I have been saving maybe 10 years ago. 1,000 every month. When she told me how much it is money, 1,000, she go worry 1,000 money save. But that was then when I don't have the knowledge. I was thinking that my saving should be like like 150. No, that is not how saving should be. Saving should be the money that you can save that you don't even finish for long time purpose. That's why our, when we retire and they give us plenty money, you wonder how this money is big because they will remember your salary small, although they will have their own. You think it's nothing. By the time you spend 15-20 years in a place, it's big money. Ready to tackle your financial goals. When you have multiple goals to save for, overwhelm. Planning and prioritize can make you ready to reach them all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please, let's give her a round. Can we give her a round of applause, please? I am quite sure we have a lot of questions. So she would recognize you, and then we'll bring the mic to you. So.
I can't hear you, sir.
We have to be time conscious.
Okay.
Today is Jumat, and if you look at the time, it's about 1. And I believe they will commence the Jumat around 1:30, if I'm not mistaken. So whoever is going to ask questions, please make it snappy and don't let it be much. Although I may need to ask questions, but I can't.
Please, we have the circumstances of a lady family friend. She slumped and died. Although she was a single mother with about 3 children. Okay, we just discovered she slumped and died, and we buried her. At the end of the day, people were arguing at the interment. Is it stress? Maybe. Oh, it's because she's lonely. So, but I now started thinking that how do we now commensurate the difference, or can we be able to link stress and depression together? Thank you so much.
Anything called stress. Anything called stress. It's very, very important to take it serious. Because most of the problem we have, stress always so most of the problem we have, like I said, everything is stress. Okay, maybe by the time she died,
Line in.
Ekware. So, because you are a doctor, you are having pains, you think you are handling it yourself, please go and see another doctor. You are not a specialist, you may not be a specialist in that field. I said I have 500 counselors working with me. There are a lot of fields. I can deal with grief because I've been through it. I may not be able to deal with mental issues because I have been in the psychosis, really. You understand? But when they bring that case to me, I won't be able to deal with it. But there are specialists in that area too. After a basic one, that's why we have physicians. About in the hospital, when they read our story, what they do is they will now look for urology case, gynecology case, ophthalmology case. They will now refer us to it. The same way it is in medical, we also have it in counseling and psychology. We also have it like that. So when you have issues, deal with it. Don't allow it to aggravate because it will lead to that depression. Depression will lead to suicide. So you need to deal with it. Okay.
Indomino. One, I want to ask you this. To actually know if it's the right thing to do or not. Then, because I have lots of things here, we'll talk about seeking help from people. In this Nigerian contest, who are the people that are ready to help? That's the first question we need to, because I know some of my friends here like Owu that have asked for help. He has not answered me. They keep... Now, then I have, maybe I'm addicted to this myself. People come to me for assistance because they see big body. No body, no engine. And I tried as much as possible at times. If I don't have the means of helping them at that time, I can go and borrow from someone to assist them, which I've done many times. And I pay back debts. Is it a good idea or bad idea, man? Yes. Then the third thing is about savings. Savings. With the Nigerian contest, is there savings? Can one save? Take, for example, a salary earner that earns 40,000 or 50,000 naira per month. How much is he expected to save? Probably he lives in a place like Ikotu and works in Ketu or Jota. Transportation costs, cost of food. So at the end of the day, how much is he expected to save? Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Okay, I will try my best. No, no. Okay, sir. The first question, is about seeking help from people. Yes. While we are seeking help from people, I made mention of a lot of people we can seek help for. And you know what? When you are seeking help from somebody, the person may not have money to give you, but the person may have information to give you. When you are seeking help, information man jade. You will see some people, they will say to one somebody, then I said I need help. And the man now said, I didn't have money, but there is one organization, and they said we don't know how they help. That was what the man told me. He said, you won't be ashamed to go there. He gave me that I couldn't go because I believe that I'm more than widow rights couple. You understand? So because payment information for those who can get those things from there, you can see where the information is coming from. The person said he cannot help you, but you talk to this set of people, this is what they said. So yes now. So what's the solution now? Solution will never provide. Solution will never provide. Okay, so like somebody came to me again. This woman, she did not know anything at all. They are having issues. They have 3 children in the university, but they never worry. The government is giving students loan, and they said, madam, I know that you are into young adults. After some school, I said, you are still running up and down. Go and apply for student loan now. I said, what is student loan? I said, government is giving out students loan. Say, tell your children to see. So they came. Yes, sir. So they came, and I gave them the idea, the link, and everything. Today, 3 of them are University of Ghana. They paid them, and they're giving them 20,000 every month. That's an information. So sometimes, if you don't, the person did not have money, they will have information to give to you. Second, okay. The financial people will not give for savings. That is room. That's why you need to tackle your income. You need to work on triggers, spending that is not necessary. You know, I told you that, okay, me I thought I'm owing. I'm having 3 phones. What am I doing? For anybody say only 3 phones. And I have to buy into that. If you do analysis, work on your analysis. You will see some that you are wasting money on. So, all where you are wasting this money, if you are still having that money, convert it to saving. Yes, convert it to saving, sir. It's not compulsory, sir. So, okay, sir. Okay.
There is a question Madam is asking, and I believe that question should be thrown to an accountant. She has already dealt with it, but you see, something I just want to, my president, thank you for this workshop, and we are organizing it. If you remember the first lecture I gave, and what Madam is saying most of the time, they are already interconnecting. I will give you an advice that what you don't know about, get a professional that will advise you so that you can get maximum profit or maximum benefit. She has just mentioned it. I only want to add to this answering of this 40,000 naira per month or whatever 1,000 naira per month. One, I want to tell you that before you collect that salary, you know the amount you are collecting. So you imbibe the habit of saving first. It's very, very important and it's key. Aha. You see, my president just said I should tell you, you will pay yourself first. And in paying yourself first is that savings. Imbibe that spirit that, see, once this salary comes. That is why, if you don't know, most salary earners, they do what they do, contribution per month. So by the time the contribution goes, they will now start planning on the small one that is there. So even if you come and you cry from morning till night, they will say they don't have. Because this small one is the one that is left for them to use. You understand? So the first thing you do, don't spend first expecting to save. It will not happen. Madam, I just told you that one, that once I see that money, the urge to spend is there. This money is much, is much, is much. And my president told me something on Wednesday. He said, what makes you poor is that immediately you get money. This money is much like this. The urge to spend comes. You are not thinking of how to increase the value of that money. The turnaround of that money to another higher amount. But you're already spending. And the more you spend, is depleting, is going down. Before you realize that this money is gone. Sure, you understand? So, answering that your question, don't talk about the amount of salary you are collecting. In Yoruba, they say salary. Salary. You only see it. If you are not very careful, you won't have effect of it. I'm a salary earner for 35 years. I know what I'm talking about. So, cultivate the habit of saving first. Then you now balance yourself on the rest. God will help us. And secondly, the one that you want to continue to borrow money, I will give you one free. I just saw it on the internet now. He said, continue to give and borrow money. But by the time the tide of event turn on you, the people you are giving, they will not tell you that, oh, plan life your own. Thank you very much.
Like if you look at, I don't know if this guy can bring us back to it. That is, hello? Where is my slide? Can you still see it? Okay. Because what he just said now is part of stressor. Give money to satisfy others. Part of stressor. Because when you are giving out, borrowing for somebody, you are bringing into you. You need to be careful with that. Some people don't need money, you know. Some people don't need money. When they have problem, they don't need money. Only need some guidance. Some need information, like I said. Some need that you tell that, okay, this is what you did wrong. Go and identify it. So sometimes when we are helping people, I usually tell people, all those people that do empowerment, they don't help people. When you are doing empowerment, do something that at least they can build a life around on. It's not that you will just come, like, you know, I made mention of widow. They will say they want to help a widow, for instance, now. How about they bag the rice? Is that part of what a widow will go through? Hey! Rice is like 0% what they will, decision making on that side. You know? Emotional problem she has. Her business will not be okay because she's not emotionally okay. So many things surrounded us that we don't know. So that's why I said, if you want to do empowerment, some people come, they brought some people to my place. They want to do empowerment. I said, okay, they want to learn photography and videography. I said, no problem. So, but you that you are coming to learn, when you learn, say you want to go and put the certificate under. Now you give them, you teach them how to do it. How will they make money from it? And that was why government brought the opportunity of, okay, when we train you, we buy you this. That's the issue. So now there is a program I went to do 2 years ago. That government, they will train them and absorb them into the system by employing them. That is end skills. That's what they do. So those kind of things is good when we are talking about empowerment. So please, if you have to help somebody and this affects you, you have to go there. Thank you, sir.
ta lọ lánàá